the Lions, the Falcons, and the owners of the #1 pick, the Jaguars. We've got former head coach Eric Mangini join the discussion now. But, Nick, let me start with you first. Go ahead and rank these 6 head coaching vacancies for us now, and then we'll bring Coach in.
Oh, I'd love to do that. Thank you, Jenna. All right, number 6 comes the Detroit Lions. Why the Detroit Lions? Well, they have no extra picks. They're an average cap situation. They're not a free agent destination. And I know you're going to be like, but they have Matt Stafford. Well, all these teams either have a quarterback in place or are going to be able to draft one. Detroit's the worst. The next is the Falcons. They also have no extra draft picks. They have a bad cap situation. Their quarterback, sneaky old Matt Ryan, 36 in a couple months. And the defense hasn't been good in years. Number 4, the Chargers. Oh, Nick, what about Justin Herbert? Well, so here's the deal. They don't have any extra picks. They do have a good cap situation. And they've got 3 I consider studs. Herbert, Bosa, Derwin James, if James can be healthy. So why aren't they higher? What's the first step in the NFL to success? Winning your division. Can they win their division? Well, not till 2035 when Mahomes is done, so it makes that job harder. Number 3, the Jets. Picks galore, cap space galore, great city, winnable division, and they're going to have Justin Fields. Here's their problem. They don't have players. Marcus May's good. Mekhi Becton, Quentin Williams maybe. But there's like 3 guys on the roster you know are good players. That's why they're not higher. Number 2, as of yesterday, was number 1. But then they made a mistake. Number 2 is the Houston Texans. Wilds told them, you keep trying to be the Patriots. It hasn't worked out. As soon as Wilds told them that, they're like, hey, Nick Caserio, 6 years, 3rd highest paid GM in the league. Come on down. So that dinged them a bit. But they have Deshaun Watson. They have a winnable division. What they don't have is cap space or draft picks, but Deshaun is so good that it's a good job. And by the way, NFL guys like living in Houston. Number 1, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Picks galore, cap space galore, and Coach, telling you right now, I've seen enough. Trevor Lawrence, NFL star. Coach won't see him for 5 years. I don't need to see him for 5 minutes. Trevor Lawrence, NFL star. And by the way, winnable division, no state taxes in Florida to do a little free agency stuff. So all those, there it is, 6-1. Coach Eric Mangini, which is the one most attractive to you, my friend?
It's so funny that you brought up the quarterback situation. I was just talking about your prowess in picking rookie quarterbacks and how right you are on those guys.
Don't do me.
I'm not gonna. We're not gonna talk about the huge misses you've had. But they're well documented. I'm committed to take integrity. I'm committed to take integrity. That's what's important to me. But when you look at these jobs, it comes down to the owner and it comes down to the GM and whether or not you're aligned with them. And as much as the resources become an important part of this discussion, it's whether or not you're aligned with ownership. But just looking at your list, the Jacksonville job is attractive. There is this myth that you're going to hit on the quarterback. It's not a myth, but it's not a lock either. So you do have draft picks, you do have cash, you have an owner that typically gives you a long runway. All that stuff is attractive. Now, it depends on how much he's going to be involved, and he said he wants to be involved a lot more. That can be a real problem. I'd say that the Texans' job would not be number 2 for most people, but I think it's Josh McDaniels' job. I can see Josh McDaniels going there. Him and Nick played college football together. He brought Nick into the league. I could see Matt Patricia being the defensive coordinator.
Over the top.
Adam Gase being the offensive coordinator. They work together at Michigan State. You've already got the system in place. You've got the system in place because it's been the Patriot system. You've got Romeo Crennel there. To me, this is the ideal job for Josh McDaniels because he's there with a guy he is absolutely aligned with, who's got a 6-year contract, and you've got a quarterback. Now, if it was another head coach, I'd say this isn't as good a job because you have no draft picks and you've got a terrible cap situation. You know, going down the line with the Jets, I think that's a good job as well because of the resources. Ownership, I felt that Woody gave me, for the most part, the ability to do what I wanted to do and to work with the GM effectively. I think that could be a good position as well. The other ones, I think the Chargers' job is a little bit underrated. You've got a quarterback that's the offensive player of the year, and that's the biggest question. You've got decent salary cap space, like you said, Nick. You've got draft picks, but the division is an issue. Now, if you've got a really good quarterback, you should be able to challenge that division and challenge it pretty quickly.
So,
Nick, you there?
Coach.
Yeah, I'm here. Listen, I'm intrigued. I'm enthralled.
Look, Coach, there's two things here, two discrepancies here. The Jets' job. You guys saw my helmet. I'm not saying this because I'm biased and I'm a lifetime Jet guy, but the Jets' job to me is number one. Here's why. When we talk about draft capital, Nick, you talked about it earlier, but you didn't go into how much power we have.
Yeah.
Got a lot, right? We got 2 first-round picks. We got 1 second-round pick, 2 third-round picks, and we probably got like 6, 7, second-day picks. Like, it's unbelievable what we have in the draft. And then you talk about, Brandon, Marcus May's a good player, but what else do they have? They don't have players. Well, you know what we do have? We have the cash to go get it done. We got Mr. Woody Johnson, and we got the second most cap space in the National Football League.
That's true.
So when you think about that job, it's really intriguing to me. I think that's the number one job. And like Coach said, you'll probably have Justin Fields, and you're going to have Sam Darnold. You bring in the coach that can develop this kid. He could potentially go on and play a year. You can trade him, get more draft capital, continue to build around Justin Fields. But we have 2 quarterbacks with a coach that can come in and potentially develop them. And the other discrepancy is this Jacksonville Jaguar thing, Wild. Like, why does Nick think that this is a good job? And we do it all the time. It's a trap. You got Trevor Lawrence, a can't-miss prospect, the greatest quarterback prospect ever. And then what we do is we say this guy is going to turn our franchise around. But if you look at the last 30 years in the National Football League, there's only been 2 quarterbacks that's been taken #1 overall that's won the Super Bowl. Do you know who they are? That's Eli Manning and Peyton Manning. Outside of that, no one else has done it. So when you think about this Jacksonville Jaguars job, I don't think it's that intriguing. I think this kid is good, but does he come in, Wilds, and really flip this franchise upside down?
That's what I'm interested in, Coach, and I'll throw it to you. If you go and coach Jacksonville, you got Trevor Lawrence, and Trevor Lawrence doesn't reach his potential very fast. Well, Trevor Lawrence not going anywhere. You're going to go somewhere. You're out of the job. So the question is, when coaches are looking at these jobs, I think optimistically, like what Nick laid out, was the ceiling for all the franchises. When you were looking at jobs, were you also looking at like the floor of like, uh-oh, that could get pretty bad, I don't want that job? Or is that something that doesn't come into play?
Well, it depends on your leverage. It depends on how badly you want to become a head coach. It depends on your self-confidence. Coaches inherently believe that every problem is fixable. And so when they look at a situation, they may see problems, but they also see opportunities. So you go into a job thinking, I can make a difference in that situation, regardless of what the issues are. I'd say the biggest piece of advice that I could give anybody who's considering opportunities or multiple opportunities is having alignment with ownership. If you don't have that, when things get a little bit noisy, everything changes, and that's a real problem. So if you share the same vision, you share the same values, you're aligned.